Uh-huh. It's so typical, right? It's all of us. Yeah. I mean, hey, I to be honest, I was doing one time. I was doing a class and I just like, I'm sorry, I like muted random. Like, oh, I wonder if anyone knows because it's a class I did with a partner, and it was like her turn to talk, and I was like, I hope I get back in time. It was pretty bad, but sometimes you gotta go. Stuff happens. What are you gonna do? Well, between him and international, something that people got said it started at 1:30. That's why it's the confusion for you guys too. And he said, no, we'll just do it at 1:30. And international's like, no, you're doing it at 2 o'clock. And it's like, okay, great. Except what about the people showing up at 1:30? So I really have no idea, how that came about. I, that's the thing that's good about it, right? I mean, anytime you guys see a webinar, someone offer you a webinar that looks interesting, you can just register and forget all about it, and not put it in your schedule if it's during a time that you have like other business to do. They'll send you a link to it later. You can just watch it later. So I don't know if you do that, but I started doing that. And the truth is, half of the stuff that you guys are getting, you should be ignoring anyway. Probably 90% of the stuff you're getting. If it's not something like from Maps or KW or whatever, you're getting bombarded with a lot of garbage. And I spend a lot of time just deleting. The whole world's trying to sell us, yeah, which is great. I mean, it shows that they care about us and they think we're important. But the bottom line is, it's not stuff that's going to get you where you want to go necessarily. All right, rule one. Which clock to trust? So can you guys see the thing on the side that says? So there's, yeah, he said there's about 700 signed up. 72 are on there live right now, and it's kind of fun to watch. You can tell if I'm doing a good job because the number will stay the same or have gone up. And if I'm losing people, you'll see them clicking off. So I'll know, okay, I'm sucking right now. There's something I'm doing wrong. But you'll see a bunch of people like in the next 3 minutes, it'll just kind of jump. It's typical real estate agents, right? I'm saying you're supposed to be somewhere at 2 o'clock, and watch how they all show up between 2 and 2:15. It's amazing. It's amazing. We're starting a few minutes late. All right, I hear we're live. Can you hear me right now? If you can hear me, type in the box that you can hear me, just so I know. Great. I hope I didn't say anything bad about any of you. And if you heard me saying what I said about real estate agents, you know darn well it's all true. So I'm not going to apologize for any of it. So this is Ron Wexler. I'm with Keller Williams here in Chicago, and I am excited to bring you a short talk about how to never speak to a stranger the rest of your real estate career. So here's what I'm going to ask. I want you to play full out for the next 30 to 40 minutes. And what I mean by that is assume that what you're going to get out of this conversation is going to make a huge difference in your career. Assume that if you take some of the things that I'm sharing with you and apply them to your life, that it's actually going to put money in your pocket. So sit at the edge of your seat, put your feet back down on the floor, turn off all the distractions around you, and really play this game with me full out for the next few minutes. So just to give you an idea, my name is Ron Wexler. I'm a KW agent here in Chicago. I've been in business 36 years. I have a team that sells real estate. Last year we closed around 235 homes, which was like 50 million in volume, a little more than that. I'm a MAPS coach for the last 13 years. I've been a coach for other agents over the years, and I'm just really excited that I get to facilitate the Language of Sales course, which you guys are about to get a taste of for Keller Williams. And when I teach the Language of Sales, my co-teacher is Kate Patulski, and I'm just going to tell you a little bit about Kate because she's actually amazing. She's been an agent, a mega agent. She's coached top agents around the country. She's a course writer, so she actually writes real estate training courses. She's actually a head coach for Keller Williams Realty, which means she coaches all the coaches. So that'll give you some idea of who she is in our world. She's amazing at what she does, and she's done a lot of studying the brain, how the brain works, how the mind works, and a lot of what we do in language of sales comes from that. And so I'm just going to share kind of quickly why language of sales. I took the course originally myself, probably 20 years ago, and I was so blown away by it and what it did in my business. And I was doing pretty good business at the time. I was so blown away by what I learned taking that class that I took it. It was a 6-month class at that time, which the one that we do is only 3 months, but it was a 6-month class, and I took it 3 times in a row. I just stayed in it for 18 months because of the difference it made in my business and my communication skills. So when you play full out, that you'll really get a lot out of it. And it's funny, when Diana asked me if I was willing to teach this course, I had already told her I wasn't going to do any more coaching, that I was just going to focus on my team in my office. And she asked me if I would teach it, and I said yes without even a minute's hesitation. And she kind of laughed, and I told her that story. I said, look, I love this class. It's my favorite one. And I told her about the 18 months, and she started laughing. She goes, when I did it, it was 2 years. She did the exact same course I did. She took it 4 times. I took it 3. So that's probably why she's more amazing than I am. But anyways, the bottom line is you'll get a lot out of language of sales. And today you're going to get a piece of it for free. So it should be fun. So today we're going to just focus on how to connect kind of instantly with the people that you bump into. Okay, we're having fun with our, just watching what's happening on your screen there. All right, so we're going to focus on basically how to connect instantly with everyone you meet. So just quickly, I'm going to talk about rapport, right? Rapport is when 2 people have a good, synchronized, trusting, safe, and connected relationship in which you're able to understand each other's needs, ideas, and feelings. In other words, when I'm in good rapport with a client, they trust me and they do what I ask. How does that sound? You like the idea of people trusting you, feeling good about you, and doing what you ask? I just need some feedback here. Just make sure you guys get it. Does that sound good to you? Would you like to be in a better rapport with most of the people you bump into? You can type it in your box. Okay. Here we go. I got enough, of course. I love that. Right. So the bottom line is, right, the more we connect with people, the better off we are. Right. When you're in rapport, people don't hesitate to share information. They trust you as a person. They just feel more comfortable with you. They trust your recommendations. You get to take your career to the next level because you're relating to them more easily. You'll sell more homes in less time. You'll get less resistance, and you'll get more referrals. So causing others to act and share a certain way because they relate and trust you is the way to go. So the ultimate goal is to live a better life because communication is just easier, right? So for next 30 minutes, we're going to just share a strategy that allows you to become more effective in your ability to connect with strangers and, of course, influence your prospects, your clients, and your staff. And the fact that you decided to join this session illustrates your belief that possessing an ability to influence will allow you to take your career to the next level. So have you ever noticed that some people just naturally have others listen to them at a higher level than the rest? Those people who never met a stranger, they're instant best friends with everybody that they meet. Does it seem like they're blessed with some secret power? It's like they have the force, right? I am the salesperson you're looking for. So most likely they know how to communicate with people in a way that causes them to feel good about making decisions and about taking action. So let's just do a quick exercise. Everybody get out a blank sheet of paper and write down 2 things. Write down how many strangers you bump into on a weekly basis. Think about the mall, the building or neighborhood where you live, the gas station, the health club, restaurants, your kids' schools, everywhere you go. How many people do you happen upon each and every week that you currently don't know. Take that number and multiply it times 52. And then just type in the box for me the number that you came out with. I want to make sure everybody's following this exercise. So how many people, okay, so 1560, 5200, I love it, 52 jillion, that sounds accurate, 1,000, right? So it's a lot of people. Everyone agrees that it's a lot of people. I don't have one person that said less than 500, right? Everybody knows it's a ton of people we're bumping into all the time. So think about this. If it was 1 a week, that's 52, 2 a week, 104, 3 a week, over a year, it's 156. You guys are all numbers way, 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 way bigger than that. Now look at that number and think about it as your chances at bat, right? It's the times you have to practice and master building a relationship and great rapport with strangers. So we know that all of us are just learning, right? And not necessarily that great at purposely playing the language of sales rapport building game yet, right? So let's just be really conservative. And this number is going to be lower than anybody shared with me. Let's say it was only 3 per week. That's 156 for the year, right? Let's say that's all the people that you bump into in the whole world in a 12-month period, right? That's how many, 156 opportunities you had to connect. And let's say that only 10% of those 156 that you actually connect with, right? I'm being super conservative. In fact, if you take 10% of whatever number you wrote, you'll still have a pretty massive number, won't you? In fact, go ahead and do that. Take the number you wrote down and take 10% of that number. So for this example I gave, 3 a week, it's only 15, right? It was 156 people for the year. 10% of that is 15 people who could buy or sell a home with you someday, right? If that only gets you a closing 10% of the time, take 10% of that number, right? So 156 becomes 15 people. Now multiply that number. So whatever number you did that was 10% of your gross number, multiply that times your average commission. So 10% of the number that you wrote down times your average commission, what do you get? So if you had 52 jillion, 10% of that would be 5 jillion times your average commission. All right, now let's have some people type in the box. What is that number? So, if you had 2,600, 10% of that is 260 times your average commission. What number do you get? All right, 187,200. Sounds about right. 468,000. I'm just reading some of the numbers people are typing, so you know why I'm just talking about random numbers. 260,000. Right, just get a couple more just so I know everybody's in the game here with me. There we go, 112,500. Let's have one more, 91. Okay, so good. So you understand that that is a massive number that you're not connecting with, that those people are right there in your world and you're not bumping into them, or when you are bumping into them, you're not playing the game right. So how about if right now, as we go through this exercise, I give you some tools to help you capture some of that money. So, just to put it simply in terms of what we're going to talk about today, right? If, let's say I meet 3 new people a week at the park or just out and about. For the year, that's 156. Through great language and conversations, I'm able to include 78 or half of those people into my database. I work them right, and 10%, right? So 7 people, let's say, turn into sales. So I'm being super conservative here, right? And then let's say at an average commission of $5,000, that's $35,000 of pay increase I would get using what I'm going to share with you today. So I'm just trying to be really clear. We're talking about a big chunk of money. All right. So let me just say one more thing that needs to be really clear. Using the language of sales is about connecting and not manipulation, right? The definition of manipulation is exerting shrewd or devious influence, especially for one's own advantage. So we're not using our MAPS language of sales power for the dark side, right? We're learning to connect with people in a way that causes them to act instead of procrastinate, and causes them to choose you because you're a force for good and want to help them get what they want, not what you want. So I just need a few yeses if you guys are willing to play this game with me. Do you get what I'm saying, or do you know where I'm coming from? Okay. All right, cool. All right, a whole bunch of you said yes. Perfect. All right, so let's proceed. Let's just learn one quick method that I've used and that top people use for instant rapport building from the MAPS language of sales. So let's consider that even in this day of texting and emailing, you can still add a lot to your bottom line, making connections with the people that you meet, just living your normal life. And at group activities like your kids' sports activities, yoga class, or your 7th level open houses, right? And wherever you are out and about, meeting human beings and connecting with them can give you a pretty nice bottom line. So the method I'm going to teach you works extremely well, and the more you use it, the better your results will be. Oh, and one other thing, you have to be comfortable being very uncomfortable when you first learn this. It's going to require you to put aside your normal way of being, the automatic, natural communication style that you have used your entire life. It may feel a little unnatural at first, so you have to be okay with being a little humbled by doing something different from what you've always done. Think of it this way. The class is called MAPS Language of Sales. Part of the course is learning new language and language patterns and new ways to communicate. So think about the last time you had to learn a new language, right? Maybe you were in college or high school, or maybe it was when you were born, I don't know. But I don't know about you, it took me a lot of repetition, practice, and focus to learn and to become good at it, right? I was willing to pay the price because for me, where I am right now is rarely where I'm satisfied being. I'm willing to pay the price to move forward. All right, so here we go. You meet someone new, you want to initiate a real estate conversation. Your goal is to connect with that person that you met in a way that they like. Remember, you want them to like, remember, and feel comfortable and connected to you. If they're not ready to buy or sell at this very moment, you want them to give you their contact information and their permission to keep in touch. So let me tell you the what, and then we'll talk about the exact how. So we're going to use a method that I just call instant rapport. And so we're going to do rapport building by doing 3 things. The first is we're going to pay close attention to their model of the world. Remember, it's not about you, it's about them. Second, we're going to respect and connect with them based on their model of the world. And then we're going to follow and then lead. So we're going to follow until rapport is built. Then we're going to lead based on a strong connection. So when you meet someone, instead of insisting on them liking you for who you are, you're going to be like them. People relate to people like them. They like people like them. They trust people like them. They remember and enjoy the interaction with people like them. So guess what you're going to do? You're going to be like them. So think about it. Have you ever met someone whose dialect was intensely different from yours? They dressed different. They spoke faster or slower or just different from you. Did you instantly feel connected to them, or was there a bit of a disconnect? So if you guys can just type your answer in the box. You know, when you meet someone that's different from you, what do you think? How does it go for you? Do you instantly love them, or do you need some time to get warmed up to them? Just giving people a chance to answer. Think about this. Type this answer for me. People who speak fast think people who speak slow are what? Right? Dumb, stupid, slow-minded, slow, right? Not too bright. And it's not necessarily true, but that's automatic. Someone said Southern. I like that. People who speak slow, I only like that because I'm from Chicago. If I was from somewhere in the South, I'd be annoyed. People who speak slow think people who speak fast are sneaky or untrustworthy. They judge immediately that people speaking fast are trying to put something over on them or sell them something. So your verbal and nonverbal communication are just like that. People who are dressed to chill make instant judgments about people who are dressed to kill, right? Young people judge old people and old people judge everybody, right? So how would you like it if when you first met, instead of reacting to you like a stranger, it felt right away that you were safe, a friend, someone they were intensely interested in getting to know? What if they loved and even repeated the conversation they had with you to other people and they just met you? What if the line you were standing in moved and they followed you into the parking lot and were happy to have more communication with you? That's the goal of language of sales, right? Whether it's on the phone or in person, we want to connect with people and have them love the conversation that we shared. So now pay attention. This is it. So the first thing that we talked about in those three things was paying attention to their model of the world, right? That was the first step. So let's say you bump into someone in line. Say you're at the grocery store. You make eye contact. You smile. You make a comment about something you observe. They have a child or two, a cart with a lot of groceries, healthy food, party food, maybe no groceries at all, just a little bit. They look as though they just came from the gym, the office, a soccer game. You find something you can comment on and make a very neutral and safe comment. Now breathe. No, we don't, always like speaking to strangers. We're afraid of them. And who knows, they might tell you want to buy a house or something. So I know it's real scary. But even though that relationship could be worth $35,000, we don't always want to initiate, right? We kind of just want to stay in our zone. You're going to have to get out of that zone if you want that $35,000. So stay with me here. When they respond, you intensely pay attention to whatever response they give you. Pay attention to how they speak, their tone, their rate of speech, their body language. Especially pay attention to their face, right? We're going to assess their model of the world fairly instantly. And I have to tell you, you probably do this all the time anyways and don't even realize it. Okay, so now we're going to be intentional about something you probably already do now. So I know it's a lot and it's new. Remember, new language is not easy to learn, and you already understand that once you learn it, it's yours forever. I don't think there's anybody listening right now that has to think about how to understand the English language, right? Once you got it down, you got it down pat. Language of sales is the same way. So now they respond to your comment, whatever it was. Now you're going to listen intently like they are the most interesting and most important person on the planet, because at that moment they are. You make your observations, and now you commit to point two, which was respect and connect with them based on their model of the world. So you're going to pay attention to any keywords they may have used more than once when they responded. And in MAPS language of sales, we call this keyword backtracking. You're going to have to take the class to learn more about it. But to be clear, this conversation is a light version, right? We know that we're doing this really quickly. We're doing a light version of language of sales, just to taste. So I'll share what I'm talking about in a minute, but just stay with me here. It's imperative that you, number one, pay close attention to their model of the world. When they responded, were their eyes twinkling as if they were speaking of the greatest joy of their life? Were they frowning as they were in pain, just thinking of whatever it is that you said? Did they look off into space? Did they give nonverbal cues to what feelings your comment might have elicited? Did they look in the card at something in particular, or did they make a certain face? Right? You've observed their behavior. Now you're going to follow and then lead, right? That was number three. You're going to follow and then lead. So you take on as much of their body language as possible, right? You're following their cues. Are they slouching, leaning? Do they have one foot up on the lower part of the cart? Are they leaning in, leaning back? Are their arms crossed? Remember, you've observed their way of being. Now you're going to follow as much of that way of being as possible. You're going to then pick out something from your observation, something from the verbal and nonverbal cues, something from their bodily response, and put it all together in your response to whatever they said. So now, bear with me. You're going to stay there with them as they are, as long as you have to, until you feel connected to them. And you're going to know that you're connected because you're in rapport, and you're going to actually test to tell if you're in rapport or not. And I don't care if you're on a listing appointment. I don't care if you're standing in line at a grocery store. This is really fun to do if you really pay attention to it. So you're going to follow, and then you're going to lead. And I just heard this saying. I love it. It's that great leaders often teach that great leaders are great followers first. So you learn about others and how they are being with them as they are, where they are in the world. Then when you're in rapport, they'll give you permission to lead. So wait until you see this work in your life, right? You already do it. You know, I was thinking about this as I was writing this, and the one that popped in my mind immediately was when you're around a little child and they're being emotional, right? A child, you know, something's happened to them and they come up to you crying. They're really emotional. You lower down to where that child is. You put on the same sad face that they have. You take on their tone. You go, oh, honey, how does, you know, whatever it is. You actually go there and you're being there with them as they are. Then you're in rapport with that little child and you start talking happy and you bring them out of it. This is that easy. It's really doing the exact same thing. That's what we're talking about. All right. So from what I just shared right now, you're going to have one of two reactions, right? Your inner voice right now is screaming, no way, never. They'll know, they'll catch me. I can't do it. Why should I? I'm smooth and people like me when I'm being me. I'm way too cool for this stuff, right? Yeah, that's one reaction. The other one is, I'll try it. The world's greatest communicators use this method, right? Ron's coached hundreds of agents and sold thousands of homes. Diana and Kate are incredible women who've, you know, just been, they're two of the greatest communicators ever. And they're the ones that helped create this whole thing. You just have to decide, you know, which of those two things, regardless of your reaction or your original response, why don't you just move forward, right? And play this game. I hope I made you a little uncomfortable, because if right now you're a little sweaty and uncomfortable, it just means you're getting it, right? As soon as you try it, you'll see how powerful it is. And you'll have to practice it over and over and over with everyone to start to internalize it. And I'll say some people absolutely do this naturally. Those are those people who just instantly connect with everybody they bump into, no matter where they're from or what they're like. All the rest of us have to actually be on purpose about it. So let me just give you an example of how this looks, okay? We have enough time. I'm just going to give a quick example. So let's say you're at the grocery store and you're in line, and the person behind you is dressed in sweats. They have a cart full of vegetables. They seem completely harried, exhausted, frustrated. They have 3 little kids hanging off of them who are kind of out of control. You just make all that quick assessment. You turn and look them in the eyes. You take in a little bit of their body language and posture. You turn and say, wow, I'm impressed. You truly have your hands full. Now, that's all I want you to say. Now you're going to intensely pay attention to their body, their tone, and their response. So here's a response you might get. You have no idea. It's 2 o'clock. We've been going since 8 a.m. I haven't had a chance to breathe. My kids are amazing, and today they've been a handful. They're running around, acting crazy. They're having fun. Of course, they're really enjoying each other's company. I just want to get some food into them. I just can't wait to get home and just let them play in their own space. Right? Now, first of all, often when people have kids, right, that haven't interacted with an adult for many hours, and I remember my wife used to just, like, I'd walk in the door and she'd hand me the kid and be like, someone over 4 feet tall, I need a break, right? So they might give you a really long-winded response just because it's another human being relating to them that isn't 3 feet tall. You know, don't interrupt them. Just look them in the eyes, start to mirror and match everything about them that you can. Pay attention to the way they either lit up or faded out when talking about whatever they decided to respond with. So now it's your turn, right? They've given this response. It's your turn. And remember, I talked about keyword backtracking. And what that is essentially is you're going to use their words in your response because people like people that are like them. So when you respond, use some of their language. And again, I don't care if you're on a listing appointment or where you are. This is a really powerful thing to do. So here's our response. Watching you all, I was thinking, those kids are amazing. They're high energy, but they're being nice and kind to each other. They really seem to enjoy each other's company. Just stop. That's all I want you to say. Now it's her turn, right? She's going to say something, her or him. I didn't really say if it was a guy or girl, but this person's going to respond to you, yeah, it's wild trying to keep up with them. Now here's you. And right, we're trying to bring this into a real estate conversation. I sell a lot of real estate in the area, and sometimes when we're out looking, I will have a client with a crew like yours. We're often looking for lots of space and big yards, and honestly, the kids are rarely as nice to each other as yours. I've noticed that sometimes the kids wear the parents out. Now, again, you just shut up, right? Just give them a second. And almost always, their response is going to be, you sell real estate? I wish we could buy a bigger house, smaller house, different house. They're going to tell you whatever their real estate thought is that's coming up. They're going to say, we're probably 3 years away from being able to afford one. Now, this is when you see that you're in rapport, right? Because they responded quickly. They were there with you. They were comfortable. You can lean in and share to connect. And you can go, I call it the 5 basic questions of real estate. And so again, you can make sure you're in rapport before you do it. And then these 5 questions, every agent on the planet should know. Now, you were following. Now you're going to take it to leading, right? Because you were staying there with them as they are. Your keyword backtracking, you're in rapport. Now you're going to start leading. So you start asking questions. Yes, a lot of people in this market are waiting, and yet right now is truly an incredible time to buy. Now you're going to do the 5 questions, right? Where do you live now? Let them answer. Follow their body language. How long have you lived there? Let them answer. Repeat back some of their answer, right? They say, oh, we've lived here 32 years. You say, 32 years, great. How did you choose that location? Well, our family lived in the area and we just wanted to be close to them. Oh, you want to be near your family. That's awesome. Next question. If you were to move in 3 years, where would you go next? Right? If they didn't already tell you she mentioned 3 years. If she hadn't, then your next question is going to be, when would you be making that move? And then the last thing is, how are you keeping up with the changes in the market? Right? This is your opportunity to connect with her and hopefully stay in relationship. So as you ask these questions, first of all, if you're in real estate, you should be kicked out if you don't know these 5 questions and use them all the time. So ask questions, staying with her or him as that person is. Test the rapport by breaking it, right? So cross your arms if they don't have theirs crossed, or lean back if they're leaning forward, you lean back. If they follow you, then you know that you're in rapport. If I'm sitting in front of a room full of people right now, I bet you if we looked up and down the rows, half of them have their legs crossed exactly the same way as the person next to them or the other people in their row, right? When you're around people, you automatically go into rapport. So the way you test rapport is you break it. Actually break the connection and see what they do, and then, of course, get back into it. So the goal is to connect, get them to do something right now, or turn them into a database member who will stay connected to you until they're ready to go. So that last question is what makes that part of the conversation possible, right? How are you keeping up with the market? So you're going to offer a monthly newsletter, a postcard, market snapshot, whatever you do, hopefully you all have some kind of an automated system that you're using when you feed your database. You're going to ask permission to bring them into that system. You're going to ask them for as much of their personal information as you can get out of them on the spot. Ask them if they're on the neighborhood Facebook page, which I hope you all started a neighborhood Facebook page or you're on one. Find some way to connect. Is there a real estate Facebook page that they can use to keep track? The bottom line is, it hardly matters what you say more so that you connect, create rapport, and then when they hear someone like them, all of their defenses go away and they'll let you take the lead. All right, so in a normal language of sales class, of course, we'd start taking questions and I'd know kind of if you guys got what we were talking about and if this all made sense to you. And since this is not a normal class and I'm not going to keep you after school, we're going to go kind of quick through the rest of this. But just know that if you come play language of sales, this is the kind of thing that you're going to learn. And then you're going to have time to go out in the world and practice it. The calls that we do are a full hour. We dig really deep. We discuss and we practice it together. And then you'll have homework to go practice and reinforce the things that we've taught you. And what I'll tell you is when I took it and Diana took it, we literally every single day had almost an hour's worth of homework. And like I said, I did that for 18 months where I just started getting up at 4:30 in the morning just to get my language of sales homework done. This is nowhere near that intense, although if you play it at that level, you will get out of it more faster. But just know that you are going to have to work on it just like language. You didn't just start speaking perfectly when you learned how to speak, right? So I'm going to share that you might want to go back when you're going to get a link to this, what we just did. You might want to go back and listen to this a few times because I covered a ton in the amount of time that we did this, and I think you'll get a lot out of it. So MAPS language of sales, a method of influencing brain behavior through the language of sales and through the use of language and body, right? That using language patterns that we teach is designed to help move your listener forward, help them reach their goals and objectives, not for you to reach yours. You help enough people get what they want and you'll get what you want. Don't worry, it'll happen. And then let's just look at some facts that become useful in communication, right? You must become more effective in your use of language, causing your listener to choose you, work with you, hire you, join your team. You get the point. You can just connect with a limited number of people who communicate and are already just like you, or you can choose today to master language skills, allowing you to increase your closed transactions and market share. So mostly I think of it as getting more yeses, right? It's getting to yes easier, faster, and more comfortably. So a lot of top performers in our world, in our company, in our business, right, and their teams have all taken this course. I mean, if you just go ask top people, they've taken this or some version of it. And just like it did for Diana and me and Kate and a lot of top people, it raised our income, it lowered the number of contacts it took, and it helped us get a lot more yeses easier. So the question is, would you like to learn more techniques like this that will have a massive difference in your life? And I always think about what is the price you're paying for your current skill set, right? Earlier, you figured out the potential lost business, and I think all of us were pretty conservative. I mean, I came up with, 35,000, and that's probably the least you're losing every year by not learning these things. That number you came up with is what not learning the language of sales has cost you so far. So that's the cost, your current cost, right, for your current language skills or your lack of language of skills, language of sales skills. The best communicators know that investing your time and resources and mastering your language skills will give you an enormous payoff. So we're extending an invitation for you to join us over the next 12 weeks in the MAPS Language of Sales class. It begins next Wednesday at 1 o'clock. It's every Wednesday at 1 for 12 weeks. The classes are recorded, so if you can't be there, you can listen to the recording. Truthfully, when I took it, I listened to recordings twice in between each session. I just felt like I was paying, getting it for a third of the price that way. But I also used it that way because it helped me to really internalize it faster. So you can review the sessions over and over and over during the course. We're also, the groups we've been doing this with, we have an incredible private Facebook group only for that session. And everybody gets to share their funny stories. They get to share all the ways that they messed up everything and how they got it right and how they got it wrong. And we all coach each other just through the practice and everything else. So even that Facebook page, I think I could charge people to be on that page and it would help their career. So throughout the series, we'll introduce and work on a different language pattern or strategy that helps with building rapport. You'll learn to align your mindset, your skills into intentional sets of behaviors that allow you dramatically to increase your effectiveness. And so it's Maps Language of Sales. It starts next Wednesday at 1. The price is $396 for the entire course. So it's $99 a month, which, it should probably be 4 or 5 times that, but it's $99 a month. To register, all you have to do is go to Maps, LOS, right, for Language of Sales, mapslos.com. That'll take you right to the registration page. Okay, so we have a couple minutes. Are there any set questions that any of you have that I might be able to answer before we sign off and let you go on with your day? I know I went through that fast, so questions about what we learned or just anything about the course, I would be glad to take a few minutes to answer. You have to type them in your box. Great. So someone shared that that they took the class. Oh, that just when we had a conversation in the past, it's something that I shared with her from this helped her get her first buyer under contract in 2 weeks. That's good news. Thanks, Kristen, for sharing that. Who else? Okay, and someone said, how do you ask for their information to add it to your database? So in that question, that last question, right, we asked them, how are you keeping track of the market? And they're going to say something along the lines of, I really don't. I didn't even think of that. And you're going to say, we have this awesome thing that I can set up for you automatically that once a month, it'll just send you all the active, pending, and closed sales in the area. You don't have to do anything. It'll just come to your email. If you want to turn it off somewhere down the line, you can just turn it off. But otherwise, it'll do it once a month for the rest of your life. Do you think that would be helpful? And everybody's going to say, yeah, that sounds actually pretty cool. And so you say, great, what's the best? And use this language. Don't ask, what is your email address? Say, what is the best email address to use for you? What is the best? Everybody has more than one email at this point. What is the best email address to use for you? That's what you want to ask them. Be very specific in that question. And then just start getting more information. Great. Our team does a thing where we sponsor things in the area and we do all kinds of cool little contests. Why don't you give me your address and phone number too, so I can include you in that, and maybe you'll get to come to one of our events or bring your kids to one of our events. Whatever it is, just don't be afraid. Once you're in rapport with people, they'll tell you anything. They'll give you any information you want once you're in rapport. I mean, you've all noticed that when you're not in rapport, you can't even get them to look you in the eyes. Once you're in rapport, they'll respond with anything you ask for. So don't be afraid to do that. All right, someone said, what if they say, I'm already using Zillow or I'm already using something, blah, blah, blah. That's a great point. And we'll end with that one, I think. So basically, if they say they're already doing that or they already have a source, like honestly, what I say when they say I have Zillow, I was like, well, would you prefer that the information was actually accurate? The system that I use updates every 89 seconds, all the information on the system. So instead of giving you information about things that happened, 2 months ago, it'll be the most up-to-date information. In fact, are you using Zillow on your phone or just on your computer at home? I actually have an incredible phone app that'll do the same thing. And not only that, but anywhere you are on the planet Earth, you can hit the button that says nearby homes, and it'll tell you the price of whatever house you're standing in front of. And I know people love that. So there's a couple different ways that you can use the information we have. And we're not going to keep calling you and bugging you or anything. Like I said, we might invite you to an event once in a while and blah, blah, blah. So you have to decide from there where you're going to take the conversation, but that's about it. All right. And someone said they need the 5 questions that I gave. And I think I'm just going to tell you to wait until you get the email that gives you a link to this conversation. And it'll be right in there. So when you link to this and watch it, you'll be able to see that. All right. So I appreciate all of you being here. You're welcome. Thank you for being here. And I hope that you take this and put it into implementation. If you have any direct communication you want to make with me, I'm going to give you my double secret email address that nobody has. And please feel free to email me there. It's Ron, F-I-T, Wexler, @gmail.com. So I'm the only one who sees that. If you want to email me there. Also, if you're a KW agent and you want to friend me and, on Facebook, well, if you're anybody you want to friend me on Facebook, I'll try and squeeze you in there. And then also connect with me on the KW Connect for the referral system. I'd be glad I send out referrals all over the country, and I'd love to get to know you. Maybe we can share some referrals back and forth. I'm here in Chicago. Thank you all. You guys are awesome. Go kick some butt, and thanks for being here. Take care. Yeah, right.